T20 champions India.
Hello and welcome to this post-match live session with me. I'm your host, Vineet Ramakrishnan at Cricketnext.com, and joining me shortly would be Chetan Narula, our correspondent from Australia. And as you would have guessed, India have won against Zimbabwe. A facile 71 run win for India as they top the table in Group 2. And with that, their semi-final lineup is set. India would be taking on England at Adelaide Oval this Thursday, while New Zealand will be going up against Pakistan. It was a mad Sunday. Started with an upset win for Netherlands over South Africa. And that made way for Pakistan beating Bangladesh and making it to a very unlikely semi-final. South Africa were dumped out, but India stuck to their plans. It was unexpected lines that India would have it easy, and they definitely did. Suryakumar Yadav once again among the runs. KL Rahul got some valuable runs and at a good speed as well. Rohit Sharma failed to get going, but again in the bowling department, Ravichandran Ashwin with 3 wickets. India did make a change finally with dropping or resting DK, any which way you want to take it, and Rishabh Pant playing, but that not give back any dividend as such, but it could be something we could see for the England game as well. But without further ado, I'll bring in Chetan Narula for the analysis from the ground itself. Welcome, Chetan. It's a mad Sunday for sure.
And hello to all all viewers of Cricketnext. I hope you can hear me. It's still very noisy out here at the MCG. It's been very much fun to watch Suryakumar Yadav bat the way he has. I think one of his best knocks, given the size of the ground, given the situation. There are 82,000 people here at the MCG, and they were having immense fun. It was like an Indian festival. It was an India day at the MCG. It was not really India versus Zimbabwe. It was an India day. It did not matter whether it was Zimbabwe or West Indies, who could have been the other side. It just did not matter who the other side was, and 82,000 people turned up here to have fun, and Suryakumar Yadav duly gave them something to cheer about, because at one point it did not appear that India would get 180, maybe 160, 165, and probably the complexion of the game would have been different, and he showed us why he is the best T20 batsman in the world at the moment.
That is true. I mean, really showed his range of shots, and then the kind of shots that he played, really audacious, some of them, and you can't really. I was just looking at one of the tweets, and they were saying that if there's a wagon wheel software that could be broken, the kind of the shots he was making there, Suryakumar Yadav, continuing with his fantastic form, but somebody who's also looks like coming back to form is KL Rahul, and we have discussed at length about KL Rahul and the dilemma about the form and everything. Really, the opportune time, you would say, coming back to form, or is it again too much to read into, because this was a very relatively easy Zimbabwe attack?
Well, it is opportune, because if you look at the way Rohit Sharma is batting, he's struggling for form, struggling for touch at the moment. He's got 89 runs so far in 5 innings. Yes, I made a note of that. Yeah, 89 runs in 5 innings so far, and it was, I mean, at least one opening batsman is performing, and what happens is when you score runs, it just helps you overcome your bad form, bad patch, and you get into the groove. And that's what happened with Rahul. He scored that half century and then another half century here, so he's getting into rhythm ahead of the all-important semi-final against England. Rohit Sharma, it hasn't happened for him, because he scored that half century against Netherlands and we thought he would just pick on from there. But those were ugly runs. Even he said that. And it just seems, that he is not in his best form, not in his best shape. But at least one of them is firing. The middle order is firing, although, Hardik Pandya, Dinesh Karthik, they haven't been really tested enough. Hardik Pandya, after the first game, Dinesh Karthik hasn't really scored too many runs. So there are gaps in that Indian batting, but at least now, instead of just Virat Kohli and Surya scoring, it's also Rahul who's scoring now.
That is true. I mean, it does give you that kind of an option where we're discussing about the openers not performing well or not firing. But then again, as you mentioned, at least one of them is doing in one other game or the other. That is good signs for Team India. But then again, I'll have to pick your brains on the selection. Rishabh Pant getting a chance instead of Dinesh Karthik. How would you see it? Dinesh Karthik dropped, and for the England game, do you think it would be Pant, despite the fact that he did not score that many runs, or do you think DK would be back for the England clash?
No, I think Dinesh Karthik will be back for the England clash. I think this was just to give Rishabh Pant, a run out in the middle, give him some game time. Too bad he just scored 3 runs. I thought he should have been sent at number 4 if you really wanted to give him game time. But of course, they did not want to change too many things around what has worked for them. So the fact that he did not bat at number 4 just shows to me that they were just giving him a run in the middle, let him get some game time. So if something happens, because you need to be ready, and he is your number 1 player sitting on the bench. So if something happens on game day
Absolutely.
or just before game day, ahead of the semi-final, they can tell him to be ready. He can mentally be ready. Having played in front of 80,000 people, just be game ready. I think with Dinesh Karthik, they have experimented. I mean, when I say experimented, he was part of the experimentation process for quite a long time. And he's been their finisher despite not scoring runs. It's pretty clear for them. They see and identify a proper role for Dinesh Karthik. And I don't think in such a big game, they will change what they have. If Pant had scored, say, 50 odd of 20 balls, it would give them food for thought. But not right now. I don't think uh, I mean, if you want, I can even tell you right now what is the playing 11 going to be. I mean, I don't see. I just see Dinesh Karthik coming in to the side, and the rest of the side stays the same, and they play the semi-final against England in Adelaide.
That is true. Again, on this selection bit, another question that I want to put across to you is one of the commentators, Rohit Sharma, was mentioning on air, and the fact that India are missing that wicket-taking, spinner. Even though, look, Ravichandran Ashwin got you 3 wickets, 22 runs, that was good. But his hint was towards the Juvendra Chahal, and England are, they don't play leg spin that well. Having said that, England also have 4 left-handers in their lineup, meriting a place for Ashwin also. Uh, how do you think this is going to pan out? Chahal's going to sit out again, or like Chahal's not going to get an opportunity? It will be Ashwin.
No, I think spin bowling is a problem for India because not because they are not good spinners; they're fantastic spinners. Ashwin is probably one of the most intelligent spinners in T20 cricket. The problem is the conditions. The conditions are not really suited to spin bowling here, and India has been playing in conditions which have been really friendly to fast bowling. Even in Adelaide, where you think
Yeah.
the ball would take some turn or probably grip enough for the spinners, they came against Bangladesh on a day when it was really overcast and really windy. Um, in Adelaide, again, the ball didn't really turn and grip. Yes, they took a few wickets there, but again, against Netherlands, it was nothing to write home. So, spin is India's problem or India's worry. And why I say that because the square boundaries in Adelaide are really short. It's a very different ground. I mean, you look at Melbourne, you look at Sydney, you look at Perth, anywhere else in Australia, it's the straighter or mid wicket boundaries which are the shorter ones, and the square boundaries are the
Right.
bigger ones. But in Adelaide, the oval is so weird that straight boundaries are the longer ones, 77 and 80 meters, and the square boundaries are 55, 60 meters. So with the spinners and England's big hitting batsmen, I think that's going to be a challenge for India's spinners. But Ashwin is an intelligent bowler, and I think it was a confidence boost for him that when Zimbabwe were taking the attack to him, when they were hitting him for boundaries, he was able to pick those wickets. He was able to come back and pick those wickets. So I think he's a very confident bowler. I think he is not going to be touched. You spoke about Chahal. I think he's not had a run in the game, in the team. So I don't think they will bring a Chahal just for the semi-final. Akshar Patel should continue, and it brings a left arm spin angle. Uh, maybe Chahal, but again, I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
That is true. I mean, as you said, I mean, left angle of Akshar Patel, but then again, England also have 4 left-handers, maybe a Chahal, but that weakens the batting as well. I mean, Ashwin and Akshar are far superior batters than Chahal there. Moving on to the fast bowlers, again, I mean, this has been a trend for India that the fast bowling of Bhuvneshwar, Arshdeep, and Mohammad Shami, they put their opposition on the back foot very early in the power play itself. The only game that did not happen was the South Africa game, at which India instantly lost. Here again, terrific performance. I just want your thoughts on the kind of performance that you saw today. And moving to the England game, it is certain that these 3 pacers are going to be there. But in one of your pieces, you also mentioned that these pacers don't seem to have a plan B when batsmen take a go at them. And these England are surely going to go hard at these pacers for sure.
No, look, I think it was a very clinical and professional performance from India overall. We've seen Zimbabwe beat Pakistan in this tournament. We've seen what happened today to South Africa. So, what you don't want is go to the semi-finals after losing a game to Zimbabwe. You're, you're,
That's true.
you're going to the semi-finals, so you're the top four teams in the tournament. India is a top four team in this tournament. So, you don't want to be going into the semi-final losing to Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe have shown that they are capable of beating the big boys. And so, given the situation, given the context, given the fact that it was an India day at the MCG, 82,000 people, so they rose up to the challenge. Indian team is always under pressure to perform. They rose up to the challenge and they got things done. Um, Look, I will go out and say this that on the semi-final day anything can happen. England have their weaknesses. Apart from their top
Right.
order, we saw Sri Lanka expose some weaknesses there. But is it going to be a similar pitch? I don't know. Despite everything, England still won. Um, I personally feel England are the favourites in that game. Some of my colleagues feel differently. Uh, but I think the two sides, they have enough strong points and they also have weaknesses that can be exploited. India's weaknesses can be exploited by England, probably not by Zimbabwe. Similarly, England's weakness can be exploited by India, probably not by Sri Lanka or probably not by some other side. So uh, Ireland, they showed a way that if you attack England's
Right.
first 10 overs, you can go hard at them and then you put them under pressure. Similarly, India's fast bowlers don't really have a plan B. When they are hit, Bangladesh showed that. So I think both sides have strengths and weaknesses. I think it's going to be an absolute cracking game. I can't wait. I'm going to Sydney for this semi-final, the first semi-final. I'm going to Sydney before Adelaide. I can't wait to get to Adelaide.
That's a very good point that you mentioned about Sydney, and that was my next question before I let you go. Mad way for Pakistan to make it to the semi-finals, but kind of now you can expect these kind of things from Pakistan. Just talk to me through about what you experienced while following the scores at Adelaide. I mean, what was happening with South Africa first, and then Pakistan also. Look, they got the win over Bangladesh, not convincing though, but the bowling was convincing in the sense the bowling really looked really well for them, but they did stutter in the chase.
If I was a South Africa fan, I would want to quit cricket today. I mean, they've seen this enough. They've seen this long enough. I'm not sure if there are any South African cricket fans left at all. I don't know. Uh, by these performances, South Africa are killing cricket in their country. It's just ridiculous. All it needed was a calm head, a professional approach. I can't explain what happened today. And Pakistan, yes, Pakistan, Bangladesh both had an equal chance, but Bangladesh haven't really been a good performing side against India. They used the conditions really well. But I thought Pakistan would get through to the semi-final, and Pakistan are really dangerous now because they are a side that you give them a sniff, and you don't need to invite them anymore. So I think on their day, obviously anybody can beat anybody. The other thing is New Zealand are a very calm side. They approach things in a very calculated manner, a very calm manner. So it's New Zealand's calm versus Pakistan's destructiveness. So that's the game. That's the situation in Sydney, and I think that's also going to be a great semi-final. I think whichever of these four sides wins the T20 World Cup from here on, I think we will have witnessed an amazing three games, and obviously it's been an amazing tournament already.
Amazing tournament already. And before Chetan, just one final word from you before I let you go. Which was the most surprising exit for you, Australia or South Africa?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Your voice got off.
Uh,
Got cut
I'm
off there.
saying which was the most surprising exit for you from the Super 12s, Australia's or South Africa's?
No, I was not surprised by Australia's exit. I think they looked very disjointed throughout this tournament. I think Australia need to revisit their T20 plans. They really need to, just figure out, do they even care about T20 cricket? I mean, they had a blueprint from last year and they could have just built on that. But
Right.
yeah, but South Africa, I mean, come on. No, I mean,
That's I
I think losing to Netherlands. I think it was one of the three biggest upsets in World Cup history, and that's combined ODIs and T20s. So that
That
says a
is
lot.
true. That is true. That says a lot, and yeah, they started off at in a very surprising manner, but it did end on a planned note for the Indian fans. But thank you once again, Chetan, for joining in. We will join you for the build up for the semi-finals as well. So yeah, we'll let you go, and thank you very much for joining in.
Cheers. Thank you.
So that was Chetan Narula, a correspondent in Australia. He was covering the Melbourne game, and he'll be traveling to Sydney as well as the Adelaide for the semi-finals. And that's about it from us. I'll wrap this live session here. And as we told you at the top of the show, India top the group 2 with a facile win over Zimbabwe. They are set to play England in the second semi-final, who finished second in their group, with New Zealand topping that group. And Pakistan earlier in the day beat Bangladesh, and before that, South Africa made it very easy for them, losing to Netherlands, which was a big surprise. And as Chetan Narula mentioned, could be one of the top three upsets of the World Cup across formats, both the ODIs and the T20 World Cups. And with that, we have our semi-final set: India versus England at Adelaide, and New Zealand versus Pakistan at Sydney. We will be joining you shortly for all these games and all the analysis and build up for it. Till that time, it's a goodbye from us. Thank you.
The World 2020 champions India